Hi all, welcome to Karlpopewoodcraft. In today's video we're going to be making this lovely toy chest. This is what we're using it for anyway, or you could use it for a blanket chest or just storage at the end of your bed or something like that. But it's a great box for keeping your toys in or for storing your blankets in. The lid's soft close so it protects little fingers. And on either side we've got carry handles so you can pick it up as two people and move it about. The joinery is really simple but looks really nice. Butt joints, screws, dowels, a nice trim around the edge, oak trim around the top and oak dowels. The first thing we're going to do is glue these boards together. We're not going to be using any biscuits or pocket holes or anything with this. You could use biscuits to help alignment. I do like doing that, but this is quite a small glue up, so we won't need to do that. And pocket holes would be great if you was in a rush just to put the boards together, but we're not in a mad rush, so we can wait for this to glue up overnight. Just make sure you best effort to get your boards flat. If you need to put a straight edge across there and clamp it on, do that. If not, just nip them, make sure they're nice and flush, minimise sanding and everything then later on. We put a clamp on top as well because then that stops the buds bowing out, it pulls them back down. Don't need to over tighten them. You don't want to squeeze all the glue out of there. As long as you've got a nice tight joint, that's all good. I did get one of them fancy brushes from Rockler, but by the time the glue dries in this freezing cold workshop, you might want fingers, far superior. And now to clamp it up, so I'm just going to place them down, pull them tightly together. Make sure the boards are flat. A little bit of pressure on the first clamp, move on to the next one. Don't over tighten out at this stage, you just want to slowly nip things up. Getting the boards as flat as possible, otherwise you're going to have lots of sanding. Right guys, that's everything unclamped now, and now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the boards are flat. And because I didn't use biscuits because I thought I was clever, what's happened now is I've got little tiny ridges here in the middle of these long boards. Because they were so long it was difficult to keep these flat. So I'm going to take them down with the planer, and then we're going to go over everything with 80 grit. But the good thing about them being in massive long boards like this is we're not doing individual boards like 4 boards at a time. We can run the planer straight down there and then we can sand it as one full unit, which will be so much easier than smaller boards. Here's a little ridge I'm talking about, so we'll just knock that back with the planer and then the sander, but the rest of it's okay, it's just in the middle there. By the way, this planer, $19.99 from Screwfix. The only thing I don't like about it is a little lead, but for that price. That's the planing done now guys, everything's pretty level now. We've still got some tiny little ridges here and there, so we're going to knock it back with 80 grit and then we'll do the final sand with 120. Right, if you're using this Triton guard, it's pretty good, but what you need to do is, when you set it up, if you get one, now if you can afford obviously one of them awesome bench dog ones, crack on, but if you can't and you're on a budget, $29.99, you can't go wrong. But when you undo it here, there is a little bit of play in it. So what I do is, thank you Jack, I put my speed square on, I draw a line, and then I place the Triton square guide on, and then I tighten it square with that line. There you go, happy days, you've got it nice and square. Only takes a second and then it's tight for the rest of the day while you leave it on. So for a few minutes work, $29.99 works perfectly. So we'll cut them down to the individual size now. They're going to be 90 centimetres. We'll see how much we've got. We might make it a little bit bigger if we can for them. First thing we're going to do then is just put a square edge on this side. The pine boards have come out lovely, guys. You can see the grain's really nice. What we're going to do then is, for the joinery, it's dead simple. Butt joints, glue and screws. But what we'll do is, we'll plug the screw holes with some nice contrasting dowels, so it'll add to the overall effect of the box. And I always find that looks really nice when you're doing simple joinery like that. So all I've done is set my combination square to the depth of the timber, and then we're just going to mark down the timber like that, and then we know exactly where to put the pilot holes for the screws, so we don't go too close or too far away from the edge. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the first screw 2 inches down, and then the second screw I'm going for 6.5 inches. That way I miss the join here and we don't risk splitting the wood, and I do the same from the other side so everything's nice and symmetrical. In this video we decided to leave out the hand routing because only 2 videos ago in the boot crate storage build we went through our hand routing and how to personalise something in great detail. So I'll put a picture of the build up here, and I'll put a link in the description so you can go to that and have a good look. The hand routing in that video starts at 7 minutes 20, and then we can move straight on with this build. Just assembling the box now, guys. Very simple indeed. So all we're doing is a good bead of glue, and because it's really cold in the UK at the minute, this is going to be coming in the house tonight with us because this glue just freezes otherwise. So I've got to protect the glue nice and flush using some 40mm gold screws. For the bottom of the box we've got this piece of construction grade plywood, and all I'm going to do is place the box on it. Getting heavy already. Flush at one edge. Then I'm just going to draw around it. I'm missing that bit off there because that's a bit manky. Then we'll cut that out, screw it straight to the bottom because you're not going to see that, so that'll make it nice and strong, glued and screwed straight to the bottom. And then we're going to have a little bit of trim all the way around the bottom, like a little skating board, which is going to make it look really nice and just finish it off. And that'll also mean you won't see the bottom of the box. To attach the bottom we simply glue and screw it. But first of all, what we're going to do is we're just going to add the glue, attach the bottom with a couple of brad nails, and then we'll trim it with a router with a flush trim bit so it's the exact size of the box, and then we'll add the screws. It should be overlapping a tiny little bit at each side. Nice. Screw those screws in. Special feature.
No, Dad, you better cut me out.
Of course I will, I don't want to scare the guests. Got loads to do, I want to do it ASAP, but just got to prioritise everyone that's paying.
Hey.
totally forgot to press the record button, but all I've done is cut out the handles. All I did is found the centre of the box. It's 52 centimetres, so I found the 26 mark, marked it there, and then 10 centimetres either side I marked. I got my cup, drew round it for the shape. I drilled a pilot hole and then I used the jigsaw to cut the handle shape out. I'm just going to soften these edges now with the round over bit on the palm router, and that'll just be a bit nicer on to touch when people lift it when it's fully laden with toys. On the bottom edge then we're going to put a nice bit of trim. It's also going to act as the feet. So what we're going to do is we've cut these pieces which are the same width of the box, and then we're going to cut one more for the front. We're not going to do one on the back because the clients might want to push it totally up against the wall, which will make it protrude a bit. So I think it's a good idea not to have one on the back. We're going to measure in 4 inches from either side. Square them lines off. Use a combination square to come up 1.25 inches. Oh. And then we're going to use the cup again to draw the pattern we want for the feet. Attach them 2 lines with a long ruler. And then we can cut that out on the bandsaw. We've got both the side pieces here. And to save measuring them both out, we'll stick them together and run them through the bandsaw at the same time, saving us time, and it'll be a lot more accurate. To attach the trim then, we've just measured up 1.25 inches, and we're going to do a line across the bottom of the box. Apply some glue. Attach the trim, push it to that line. The front is the most important bit because that's where it's going to butt up to the front piece. Then we'll fill them with a bit of wood filler and then sand them flush. So you can see where we've rounded over on the front trim, and then on the side it matches perfectly with the trim that we've got going down this way. So same again, glue and screws, but this time we're going to counterbore deep enough so we can put the same oak plugs along the front, so that'll look really nice. Quick round over on the inside of this trim then, just to make it look a little bit more elegant, and same on the sides, and then we're going to move on to the lid. Jacob's just filling these on the side now, and this filler we use, this pine filler, is a really good match, and when this gets waxed you'll likely even see them. That's just where we place them screws on that trim there. Moving on to the lid now then guys, Jacob's just about to square the lid up. All we did is glue the panels up exactly like we did for the original box, and now we're going to square them up and cut it to size 900mm. Face of shame. Didn't check the depth, did you? Silly child. Take 2. Glad to take over guys, otherwise the video's not even going to be ready for next week, it's going to be about a fortnight. He delayed it last week. 900. What we're going to do now is we're going to put an oak trim all the way around the top to match the dowels. The toy box lid has warped a little bit overnight, so what we're going to do is we're going to clamp it flat, and as you can see it's come up a bit there. And now that has took that warp out. When we cut this oak, it had a lot of tension in it, and what we've got is we've got a bit of warp going the opposite way. What we're going to do is we're going to put that piece of oak onto the lid, and the bow in the oak is going that way, and the bow in the wood is going that way. So hopefully they'll help counteract each other, and that should sort the lid out. So I'm going to glue and brad nail this on. What we're going to do now is carry on with the trim around the box, and we just follow the previous mitre. So we're going to do a mitre in the opposite direction now. We'll cut that, and then we'll know exactly where to cut the next one. Putting the oak trim on definitely helps with the warp in the lid. It's totally removed it, which is great. And we've just done a marathon sanding, and we're really pleased with how it's turning out. It's looking great. All we've got to do now is secure the lid with the hinges and the slow close fastener. We've never put these cranked hinges on before, and they've been boggling our mind, but we've got there in the end. So anyhow, you'll see how we do it now. So we're going to come in 2 inches from either side for the end ones. So Jacob's holding it here flush either side for me, and then all I need to do is attach the screws, and then we'll just pray that we've done it right, but I'm pretty sure this is how you fasten these on. And then we've got the slow close hinge to put on as well. That's all good. Spot on to me. Lastly, we fitted this slow close device to the lid, and this is a L brand, and it holds up to 7 kilos. This door's a lot lighter than that, so it works perfectly for this toy box. A couple of things to note when fitting this is the pyramid shape on the bottom bracket should be facing so the point is going downwards, and the flat piece at the top goes so the out of the bracket is flush or just inside the inside of your box. This middle portion here has a barrel on it, and the barrel needs to be on the inside so it doesn't catch with the outside of the box. And you just need enough clearance so when you're shutting it, the barrel is just below the surface. It might take a little bit of practice getting these fitted. It did for us. We started on the other side of the box, and we had about 3 attempts before we figured it out because she didn't get any instructions with them. But once you've got it, you'll know it for future reference, and it's quite simple. Hope you enjoyed today's video then, guys. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. I reply to all comments. And if you would like to support the channel financially, you can do that through Patreon or channel membership or one-off donations on PayPal. You'll get extra content and you'll get your name in the credits after the end of each video.
Stumbled at the start line, I've done all that I can do, but I'll try again, I'll try cramped up on the inside at the thought of losing you. But I'll try again, I'll try again. Stay on the straight and narrow, we'll meet up at the